The Ira Hil house was constructed in 1822. It was built of a limestone called Isle La Motte black, then thought to be a marble. The master builder was James Ritchie. James Ritchie was trained as a mason in his native Scotland. In the early 1800s, he came to the New World and found work in Canada. In the months leading up to the War of 1812, Great Britain blockaded American ports to restrict trade with Napoleonic France. When the war ended with the signing of the Treaty of Ghent, trade resumed and economic activity boomed across the country. Fortunes rose on Isle La Motte, and James Ritchie was recruited to the island for his building skills. James Ritchie constructed a number of stone buildings on Isle La Motte, including the Ira Hil House, the Ira Hil House, the Ezra Pike House, the Hall Homestead, the South School House, the Town Library, and finally, the Methodist Church. Ira Hil was born when George Washington was president and lived into the McKinley administration. He owned about 2,400 of Isle La Motte's 5,000 acres. His operations included orchards, several quarries, and toll ferries to Alburgh, Vermont, and Chazy Landing, New York. Stone from Hill's quarries was used for the Victoria Railroad Bridge and for the Parliament buildings in Ottawa. Apples from Hill's orchards were shipped as far as New York City. He recruited laborers from Quebec for his various enterprises. Daybooks from the 1830s show they were paid $4 per month, with 50 cents withheld for room and board. Ira Hil was also a justice of the peace and levied fines of 18 cents for public drunkenness. In the 1920s, the Ira Hil house was acquired by Josie and Mattie Doobie, who ran an inn on the premises. After 4 decades, the inn closed and the property remained vacant for several years. Starting in 1967, Robert and Wilhelmina Littlefield owned the property for 18 months. In May 1969, Richard and Jacqueline Middleton purchased the Ira Hil house, the carriage barn, and 12 acres of land. By the turn of the millennium, the carriage barn had a leaky roof, rotten timbers, and winter ice was doing serious damage to the masonry. Richard Middleton decided it was time to intervene. He consulted with architects Cedric Start, John Scheiber, Fred Lebsold, Darush Torabi, Victor Christjaner, Bruce Olson, and Glenn Bidewell. In 2007, after much strategizing, restoration began. The first stage in the process was bracing the walls and tearing down rotten woodwork. Bruce Noble and his carpentry crew performed this work and also did some interior flooring work during later stages. The next stage involved removing loose masonry and laying it out in carefully organized courses to preserve the order of the stones for reassembly. The masonry effort was orchestrated by Mark Mendel, owner of Monterey Masonry. The foreman was Greg Middleton. At this stage, foundation issues had to be addressed, and structural support solutions were engineered. Large stone columns on the east side required special attention.
Our teamwork approach, but one of the things, Benoit, if we move that way a little tiny bit, is that these columns are now, you can clearly see that they're both sloped out.
Yes.
And that they're on a, we found that they're on a base that's right at that level. Here it is, about 12 inches thick. 12 inches thick. And it is settled as well with the. I think that
this is the discussion you said was to separate it, tilt it, and then reshim it, or
shim it. If we don't,
we want to intervene at the base itself to prevent any further movement.
Hi, General Dan.
Yep.
Greg.
Next red last piece.
Greg.
Please go.
This is Mark.
And then Marco was, you know, this thing wrong.
We met Jack too. Yeah.
Here, a tricky stone lintel was reinforced with steel rods, which were secured with stone epoxy. Once the foundations and supports were in order, the masons were able to go full steam ahead. Architect Glenn Bidewell chose Jan Lewandowski to orchestrate the timber framing in the original Scottish barn construction style. Custom-cut beams were fitted together with hand-cut mortise and tenon joints. Roof trusses were constructed on the ground to ease assembly. A key moment came when the crane arrived to lift the trusses to the top of the building. Historic preservation carpentry was headed by Jeff Fellinger, and the roofing was performed by Hawthorne Roofing. By the first snowfall, the roof was complete, and the Ira Hil house was ready to withstand the ravages of the coming century.